Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I am delighted to be talking with comics creator Danny Harrell. Danny, thank you for joining and talking with me for a few minutes.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely glad to have you. And folks out there will know you for work on Rebel Grrrls. Did I say that right? Girls?
Yeah, Rebel Grrrls. Yeah, I'm the writer and creator and colorist and letterer now for Rebel Grrrls. We've finished our first four issues. They've been published, and the next issue goes live on Kickstarter on March 25th.
Love it, love it. All right. Well, we're just a few days away from that, so this can be good timing to go out about the same time.
Yeah. This is my first attempt at doing a book on Kickstarter. The first four issues of Rebel Grrrls were released through Keen Spot Comics, and
Hmm.
but this one I've just wanted to go a different direction with it. Try my hand at doing a crowdfunding campaign before I try and get it picked up for with a publisher. But it's a one shot story that comes after the first four issues were volume excuse me, volume one, and
Hmm.
but the issue five, or the one shot that we're doing, it's more, I guess it's less of an issue five and more of like a maybe an annual, since it's kind of its own standalone story, but it'll be part of the first trade paperback whenever it's released.
Nice, nice. So I can jump in, I can read this issue by itself, or I can kind of like go back and go through the archive.
Right on, yeah. And
Cool.
on KeenSpot's website, it's keenspotshop.com. You can you can actually get the first issue, the digital edition. They have it available for free on there, so
Nice.
anyone can get that and check out what the book is about. And then the rest of the issues, most of them are still available at most comic shops, and I don't think there's any more of them available through Diamond. I think they're sold out through Diamond, but there's still a lot of online comic shops as well that have them. Midtown, My Comic Shop, places like that, they all should still have the first four issues in stock.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I'll certainly link the issue that is online and available for people to check out on Spotify and the places that allow for that. Um, Curious about this world of comics. What got you into this place of creating?
I've always just been a fan of comics and art. I went to school and minored in art and art history, and was focusing more on photography at that time. But I've always, been drawing comic characters, and just it's just always kind of been a pastime for me, and I've always loved it. But probably 5 or 6 years ago, I decided that I wanted to actually start working toward uh, getting some things published, and actually learning the craft of making comics. And when I started doing that, I focused mostly on learning the colorist aspect. Took some online classes and just spent
Hmm.
thousands of hours going through and just practicing on other people's work. Some artists that I had known previously sent me some of their work, and I would color that, send it back to them. They would critique for me, and it just kind of learned by doing it and asking a lot of questions, and uh, not being too proud to take feedback from people that are actually in the business and doing it. And that's just led to uh, starting to get work here and there over the past maybe 3 years of publishing. And then I had several ideas for comics and wanted to try my hand at writing a script, and it just kind of developed into Rebel Grrrls, with writing scripts and sending them to some people that I knew that worked in comics, different artists, to get their opinions and feedback just on script writing in general, to kind of learn how to do it and learn what what the artist actually wants out of a script. what they
Hmm.
need
Hmm.
to be able to, you know, visually see what I'm seeing in my head. And so, yeah, and everybody has a different way of doing it. I mean, I don't know if I'm writing scripts the way that they're supposed to be written, if there's, a certain format that they need to be written in. But so far, out of all of them that I've written, everybody's been able to come up with some really great stuff. And for Rebel Grrrls, I work with uh, an amazing artist named Robert Ahmad. He's the series artist for a series with Scout Comics called Headless. That's where I
Hmm.
saw his work first and really liked his work, and it fit more with the style that I saw for Rebel Grrrls, but also with the style of coloring that I like to do. Um, I I do some work that's more of a realistic looking color, but that's not typically what I do. Like I do a lot of work with Mike Ruth, and Mike does amazing inks and his washes and everything because he's a painter, and he but I've been coloring a lot of his inks, and we've worked together on several projects over the last couple of years. And the way that I color his work is completely different from the way that I color most everything else, and a lot of that comes from Mike was one of the people that was really instrumental in me learning how to color and me learning the steps of going through the process to actually get a comic completed from start to finish. And so he had a wealth of knowledge, and he would send me inks that he had done years past, and I would color them, send them to him, and he would critique them and get back with me. And just over time it got to a point where he had never really had anybody else color his work, but after I learned from him on how he colored his work, then we started working together because we've had, just for example, like we've had times where there was work that he was going to color for a cover, and but he would send it to me after we started working together, and I would color it just for fun, just kind of see how close we were going to be without talking about the directions each of us were going to go, and they were very close. And so, yeah, I always joke that me learning to color uh, his work by getting it critiqued for him was just basically him training me to start coloring his work. And so we've worked together on a lot of stuff. We've worked together on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles covers, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto, the 40th anniversary Turtles book, Dick Tracy, um, Red Sonja, just a lot of stuff that he and I have worked together on, and even the covers that I don't fully color for him. Sometimes uh, I'll still go in and do the flat color for him and send it, and he'll render it just to help speed up his process a little bit and give him a break from looking at it after spending hours and hours doing the pencils and inks, and gives him a little break.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and I do that just it's I enjoy working on coloring his work. It's always fun because it's challenging with the amount of details that he puts into his stuff. And but then whenever I color things, like I've done interior colors for several books, and Rebel Grrrls, this is the fifth book that I've done with Robert of Rebel Grrrls, but we also worked together on a book. I wrote a script for um, uh, Matt Nixon has a series called Retcon it was with Image Comics, and then he did a Kickstarter, just creator owned campaign for Dodge, which was the second part of it. And after they finished Dodge, which I worked with Mike Ruth on some of the flashback scenes in that for the color, just to give a different look to the flashbacks than what was going on in the rest of the book. But I just really liked those characters, and the story can take place at any time period because it's based around a set group of characters. But the first story takes place around 2001. The second story takes place in a mixture between the mid 80s and flashbacks to Vietnam and the when the character was a kid. But each time in the story, it's the they're basically trying to stop the world from ending and don't, and then it retcons back and starts at a different point with the same characters, whether they're, you never know which characters are going to be the heroes, the villains, but it's going to be the same handful of characters. And so I really like that, and I wrote a script and sent it to Matt because I was like, I want to put these characters in a Italian Western, like spaghetti Western type story, and set
Mm-hmm.
it in the early 1900s American West. And so I wrote that script, and then Robert drew it, and I colored and lettered it. And that'll be coming to Kickstarter later this year. There was a black and white version of it um, that they printed copies of and sent out with issue 4 of Dodge. And right now, that's the only way that anyone could have gotten a copy of it, was just those bonuses that were sent out to the Dodge backers as a thank you for, you know, getting Dodge through the finish line uh, of the 4 issues to get that whole graphic novel knocked out. But I think later this year he's going to be doing a Kickstarter campaign for the retcon to Hell We Ride story that Robert and I did. It's a oversized one shot story, and it was a lot of fun to work on. But Robert and I have worked together on that and Rebel Grrrls, and then on some covers for Archie comics as well, for Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Josie and the Pussycats, and for Archie and Friends. And Robert also has a story that he did, book that he did with Keen Spot, called Spell Weaver, that's really great as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but and then we've had covers on Rebel Grrrls from several different people that just, a lot of the cover, I guess the cover artist selection for me, it's people that I'm just a fan of their work, and want to see their take on my characters. And so I've reached out to several artists, and I've had pretty good luck with them wanting to do their renditions of the characters. And for the Kickstarter campaign that we have, we've got covers by Robert Ahmad, of course, but we've also got covers from Mike Ruth did one, and I colored that one. Jim Lawson did one, and I colored it. So we've got a Jim Lawson variant, which was pretty exciting. He's always been one of my favorite comic artists, and just kind of a comic book art hero to me. And having the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to see him draw the characters, my characters, and then also have the opportunity to color his work was kind of a surreal experience. And then we've got a cover by Brenda Hickey, who she's a great Canadian artist who was the series artist for My Little Pony for quite a while. And
Mm-hmm.
she has a book out right now that they're working on. Their crowdfunding campaign just finished recently for a book called "Don't Call Me Sidekick" that she did. She did one for us, and then Becca Kinsey, the Becca, she's back again. She's this is her third cover, yeah, third cover for Rebel Grrrls. And Then we've got Francesca Fantini. She's back again. She's the artist for the series Stake. She's a series artist for that, but she's done covers for most of the Rebel Grrrls books. But she's going to be back for this issue as well. And Bob Atchik, I think is how you say his last name. Bob, he's a artist who's done work for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Last Ronin, and I actually met him at Granite State Comic Con in New Hampshire last year, and that's where I
Mm-hmm.
met Lawson and several other TMNT artists at that show, and several that I would love to see their renditions of the Rebel Grrrls characters. Maybe if we get to keep doing the book, we I'll be able to get some more of them on it.
Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah. But you said a lot of things there that I really appreciate. One, about the just the time that it takes to create something like this, because you were talking
Yeah.
about the need to kind of step away, see something fresh. Uh, I think sometimes people underestimate comics as far as the amount of creative energy that goes into it and all of the creative
Yeah,
decisions, like you were saying about the flashback panels and things like that.
yeah. There's so much time goes into it. For me personally, writing the script is probably the thing that I knock out the fastest out of all of it. But Robert is insanely fast with drawing pages, and it's nuts. The guy can knock out really detailed pages, typically like one per day, sometimes two. Just he's lightning fast with it. It takes me longer than that to color the pages, and but typically for me personally, as far as time for an issue, I would say that with writing, lettering, and coloring for an issue, it's easily 100 hours or so for one issue. And
Hmm.
it's just that it's a very time consuming process if you want to do it. If you're like me, I'm super particular about the way things are going to look, and want a specific look for the book. So yeah, it just takes time to get it to that point, and I don't want to release something that I don't really feel is the best that I could potentially put out there. I don't want to cut any corners or anything like that, um, and then all the people that I work with on the comic, I always try to give them the most creative freedom that I can. I'm not one to send a lot of notes or anything like that. I like to, if I'm going to get an artist rendition of my characters, I like to send them what the characters look like, send them the books to read, and that's pretty much the extent of my feedback to them. I want them to always just tell them to have fun with it, and that comes from I've been a musician for 25 years and played in a lot of bands, recorded in a lot of bands, and whenever you have, it always seems like when you have one person in the band who writes a song and knows exactly how they want it to sound, and kind of dictates to everybody in the band exactly how he wants it to sound with no creative freedom, you don't get as strong of a product as you do if you come in with, say, an idea or a guitar riff, or even if you've written the guitar part and the lyrics, and then let the other members come up with their own thing and, you know, put their style into it. You get a much more unique sounding piece. And you can also it's more fun to do that. It's not fun to have someone tell you exactly what to do and kind of kill your creative freedom. So with the comic, my idea has always been that if I let people go with their own style and, enjoy what they're doing and not send a bunch of notes or have them redo a ton of stuff, or, you know, really try and dictate exactly what they're going to be doing, then they'll have fun doing the project. And I kind of feel like you can tell whenever you pick up a comic and read it, you can kind of tell if the creative team and the artist, cover artist, colors, you could tell if they were having fun while they were doing it. You don't want it to
Yeah.
feel stuffy, or I don't want it to feel stuffy. And so, yeah, I just like to keep it fun, and like to, as an artist myself, I like to give people that artistic freedom to interpret things the way that they want to and come up with their versions of the characters and their version of the story when they're trying to create their cover in the way that they see it, not the way that I see it. So
So to that end, anything that you would mention about the connections between comics, creativity, and living in this place that it's pretty special to me too. So I'm just wondering.
yeah, yeah. So the story actually takes place in the the area or I guess the town is just called the Freedom Hills, and that's actually a real place in the small town that I grew up in Cherokee, which I live in Muscle Shoals, Alabama now, but I grew up in Cherokee, Alabama, about 20 or 30 minutes from here. But there's an area called the Freedom Hills Wildlife Management Area. And that's where there's a place there called the Coondog Cemetery. It's the only one of its kind that is just kind of unique to this area. But I always loved that area whenever I was a kid, like going out there and, you know, we would take ATVs and go and ride out there. There's places where we would go and swim in just creeks and things like that. And uh, there's a bridge that I've taken my wife and kids to show them because it has steel sides, but it's still wood on the bottom, and gravel roads and everything in the management area. But it's beautiful out there, and I just grew up in that and grew up in an area that was very rural. And I mean, the house that I grew up in front of the house, there was probably 200 acres of pine trees, and behind the house was a probably another 200 acres of cow pasture. So nothing around. And so it was always nice uh, growing up that I could get my friends together and we could set up and play music in the basement of our house and didn't have to worry about neighbors uh, calling the cops on us for being too loud or anything. Because, I mean, we
Mhm.
might run the cows back a little bit, but that was about the extent. And so, uh, and a lot of the stories in a lot of, I guess, a lot of the references in Rebel Girls, there's several jokes that just came out of stories that I had gotten from playing music around the Southeast for 20 years and playing in bands, garage rock, punk, and I played the stand up bass in a rockabilly alt country type band for probably about 10 years. And we played a lot of interesting places, met interesting people, and there's characters in the comic that are based on some of the people that I've met, just not the main characters, but the kind of background characters and things they say, things they yell at the bands and stuff. And yeah, a lot of that comes from personal experience and just funny things that people have said over the years. And then, like our zombies in the comic, they they don't mumble brains or anything like that. They just say annoying song request that we'd gotten over the years. So all of our zombies are saying, Mustang Sally and Freebird and things like that. So kind of a goofy uh, way to depict the zombies in the story, but it's always been fun because they're not really vicious like horror movie zombies. They're just kind of brain dead, drones wanting to hear
Mhm.
certain things. Yeah, it's just a different way to portray them. But in the comic, the band is they're cursed with this ability to be able to resurrect the dead and conjure ghosts through their music. And this was all kind of a half-cocked fever dream of a end times plan that the devil had concocted and sent minions to try and make it happen. But it's not really something that she seriously thinks will happen, but it's more of a meaningless task that the boss has given someone to take care of. And yeah, so our in the first story, we've got a demon in the form of a CD record executive that's sent by the devil to try and convince the girls to sign a record contract, which is essentially them selling their souls to the devil. But
Yeah.
but they want none of it because they're a punk rock band and are more worried about selling out than making money. So yeah, but the Appalachian thing is it's very is prevalent in the story. Like there's a lot of stuff that just like I the book has a scene that takes place in a coon dog cemetery, and there's zombie coon dogs in a
Mhm.
issue that's searching out the band. And um, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's just North Alabama based, like the fair that they go to for the Battle of the Bands. That's something that actually happens here at the North Alabama State Fair. And so it's just, there's a lot of stuff like that that's thrown in. And there's also a lot of mentions in the book, like in the backgrounds, there's flyers on the walls or stickers that are on bumpers and things that are based around things in this area. Like uh, flyers for record stores that I went to as whenever I was growing up, or for bands that I've played with over the years. Like I've put flyers for their shows and things like that in the book, just as a tie to the Northwest Alabama music scene.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I love the mystery of the region, and I don't know, there's something about
Yeah,
Misty Hills and the rural areas that just there's a creativity that comes with that to me.
yeah. There's a lot of just natural storytellers around in the southeast, especially like in rural
Hmm.
areas, and there's plenty of lore and ghost stories and things like that, and a lot of people that tell some pretty wild tall tales and ghost stories and things. And so yeah, some there's some things that are kind of based around that as well, like the character of Katie in The Witch in Rebel Grrrls, that she's introduced in issue 3, but she is the band's security detail, but
Hmm.
she's based on the Bell Witch of Adams, Tennessee, and
Yeah.
she actually has a backstory that I've written the script for, and I want to do. A yeah, it's a book about how she died and came back as a ghost. That it's kind of influenced by the Bell Witch, but it's also influenced by a story from a small town close to where I grew up, and the way she dies is the way that a person in that town had died in the 30s or 40s of uh,
Hmm.
being being beaten, and then hanged from the thrown out the window and hanged from the city hall building. And so that's I've always heard that story. I don't know if it's true, but most of the things that you hear, you don't know if they're true or not. But there's
Right.
always that sense that they could be. It could all of this stuff could be happening because the area is just so mysterious, and you know there's there's a lot of forest, a lot of trees, a lot of places where you know you can think you're hearing whispers of other things, and so it's easy to believe and buy into a lot of the ghost stories and things that you hear around in the South.
Anything else that you would want people to know about the book? We've talked a little bit about the beats and what people can expect, but I do want to give you the chance to do that. And then any place where people can go to find out more.
Yeah, the uh, the book, like I said, it'll be the one shot, which is called Rebel Grrrls: Phantom of the Opry. It hits Kickstarter on March 25th. You can uh, follow the pre-launch page now, but it'll be live on the 25th, which is a Tuesday, because research into Kickstarter shows that campaigns that start on Tuesdays seem to do better. I don't know. I'm a numbers person, and so
Nice.
I look at things like that, and I don't know. They kind of get drilled into my brain as I'm looking at them, and I can't escape it, I guess. But yeah, it launches on Tuesday, and we do have a promotion with it to where if you back both the Rebel Grrrls Phantom of the Opry Kickstarter and the Stake issue 7 Kickstarter that's going on right now, there's an exclusive print that Robert Ahmad and I did that combines the two worlds. It's a crossover print with Rebel Grrrls and Stake. So um, people can be on the lookout for that. That full image will be revealed whenever the Kickstarter launches on Tuesday. But the book's fully complete. We're just the Kickstarter is more to get the funds to print the book than to actually
Mhm.
produce it. And so we finished the book. It's yeah, everything's wrapped up. The file's ready to go. We just need the funding to print it, and anything over the funding goal just goes toward us being able to make more issues to start volume 2, which will be it's already in the works. I've already started working on the ideas and the scripts. I know where the story is going to go for the first three volumes, which is another 8 to 10 issues of it. But it's just a matter of being able to fund it because I don't like asking any of the artists to work for less than what they charge normally. I don't want I'm not trying to get any favors from anybody, and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these folks do it for a living, so you want to make sure that they are compensated for it, and I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of any artist or anything like that. So yeah, we just have to get funding to go forward with the series, and I'm hoping that we can at least with this Kickstarter we'll be able to get the funds to print it, and also the funds to maybe get started on the first part of the next book that you know if the Kickstarter's successful, maybe we'll do that going forward. We'll do Kickstarters and then pitch the series to more publishers. We kind of feeling it out as we go, but I enjoyed my time at Keenspot, and I was happy to be able to get the first 4 issues released through Keenspot. But just wanted to try something different with the one shot and volume 2 and beyond. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But the plan is to keep making the story, and as long as people keep reading it. So, uh, as far as where to find me, you can go to my website, which is just dannyharrell.com. There's some info on there. There's you can buy some of the books that I've worked on, some of the covers. There's most of the issues, if not all the issues of Rebel Grrrls are up there right now, and there's examples of my work. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I post the most updates of my work. It's at Danny Harrell Art. So yeah, just check those out and be sure to check out the other people who are working on the book because there's a lot of talented people that made the series happen. It with comics it takes a village. There's not a lot of comics
Hmm.
that one person is responsible for making the entire thing themselves. So yeah, a lot of people working hard to bring these stories to life, and I'm just happy that I get to tell them.